Alright guys, welcome back to Regeneration X and another episode of Tardis Talk, in which we'll be taking a look at episode number 2 of the Doctor Who spin-off class titled Night Visiting. Of course, I'm not alone as I'm joined by fellow Regeneration X member Elle. So Elle, what were your initial thoughts on this episode?
I really enjoyed it. It was kind of like a different take on like the whole death thing. I think originally when I found out about the premise of the episode, I was kind of worried because I wasn't completely bonded with the characters and stuff, but because of the way it was done, it was kind of slow paced for all it was the regular episode size. It was stretched out really well, and by the end of it, you end up having this new connection with Tanya, who probably out of all of them I had like the least connection with.
I totally agree. I think by the end of it, Tanya was probably one of my favourite characters of the lot of them. And yet before that, I didn't really feel that kind of connection there. Yet by the end of it, it completely changed. I really got into the fact that, I thought she was starting to believe what the Lankin was saying. But then in the end, we found out that she was tricking us. But I think it was so well done. It kind of made me question, is she? Is she going to do it? Is she not going to do it? And it's kind of hard when you see, the own image of your father that you've lost, and you've got all that, built up hate, everything that, hating that he's gone. He's just left you in the middle of the night. I thought it was really well done. I loved the intro as well, in the way that they kind of showed that relationship between her father and just how he did suddenly go and how that affected her a year later.
I think what made it a lot more scary as well is because death is very much like a real monster in the world. It's something that all of us have to face at one point or another. So kind of like seeing a reflection of that and the emotions people go through when they're grieving and things, it was very much real and something, fair enough, an alien's not going to pop up and do that, but kind of like experiencing that felt kind of familiar, whereas usually it's like a metal Dalek or something totally out of this world, where this you could kind of relate to in some sort of way.
Well, you could. I think that's the thing. It puts you in that perspective where you think, what would I do in that situation? And I think that's a question that we're probably going to get to a little bit later on. But I think it was really good just getting to see, Tanya going back and forth between that, leaving the room, going back in, see if he's there. Is it a ghost? Not knowing what's going on. And then also seeing it appear to the other people like Mrs. Quill. And it was like, how does it appear in human form if her sister never had human form? So it was a bit weird to take in what was going on. But I just loved the way that they'd done it and the way that she interacted with it, completely different to the way that Tanya did.
Yeah, that's something I really enjoyed, like seeing what everyone's different take was on their kind of like grief and seeing people who've passed over and just how like different people deal with it. I really like that about that, and it definitely, like you say, it kind of strengthened the bonds with these characters that we had already, and a lot of them, I think Ram I think we got a lot out of him in April, whereas people like Tanya and maybe Charlie a little bit, we didn't quite get that much, but I think that kind of background helped us to relate to those.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing, like, looking at this as episode number 3, this being Tanya's big episode, those are still to come, kind of Charlie, Ram, April. We'll learn a lot more about them, but I think this really done a good job in putting Tanya across and getting her story out there. So that's kind of our initial thoughts opening up. In regards to the aliens, to the Lankin, what did you make of it? Because we're seeing it using the appearance of loved ones that had passed on, trying to trick the prey into willingly giving the souls to them. What would you do in that situation? Would you be fooled? Would you fall for it? And what did you think of the concept overall for an alien?
It's kind of like a strange one, because obviously if you've seen like vines or whatever like attached to something, then automatically you'd be like, oh, hold on. But at the same time, going through like that grief of seeing a dead loved one, it's kind of like, how could you not go with them? I think it depends on like how you deal with grief. Like I say, it's a very much real subject and things. So I think it all like boils down to like the loved one who comes through. I think if it was someone you really, really loved that had passed away, I think there'd be no doubt that you'd have to kind of battle that will to go with them. It's a really strange one, because I think that the premise or whatever of the monster is a lot stronger than what the monster actually is. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. It's like, it's a good premise for it, but to me, the whole powerful thing about it was being in that situation yourself and how you would
Yeah.
actually act with it. And like you said, everyone would act in a different situation, in a different way. But it all comes down to how much of a connection you have with that person that's appearing. Because we had people like our mother who was still asleep and it was feeding off her. But obviously that grief wasn't there and it wasn't as strong as it was with Tanya. She'd come to accept it, as the monster had said. So it really does come down to how different people do accept it. And I think the way that Tanya done, you could tell just how big the grief was there. And I think they've done a really good job in actually showcasing that.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of liked how with Tanya as well that you went through all these different stages of grief and things. Like you had like her missing a father, and then towards the end you'd see like the anger that everyone goes through and the questions that come with it. Like, why did it have to be them? Why did they die and things? And I really like that. It's not something shows usually pick up on, like the anger of being left behind and stuff. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was brilliant. It kind of reminded me a lot of kind of like the Danny Pink thing with Clara, like how they did that on Doctor Who. It was kind of like reminiscent of that, and I thought it was done brilliantly.
It really was. It was really good. And it's like an adult theme to it. It's not kind of your typical, your family show like Doctor Who is, where it's on your Saturday nights and the whole family's gathered around. It's kind of like an entertaining thing, which it has been darker in recent times since Capaldi came in. But I think this one, it's kind of took it to a next level, where it is that darker grown-up show. And it's similar to Torchwood, I guess, in that sense. And I'm actually loving that kind of theme with the show.
Yeah, I love how it doesn't come across as too much dark. It's definitely got adult tones, like slight nudity and things, but on the whole, it just kind of touches those subjects that Doctor Who wouldn't really go into much. Like with the death, it kind of had different tone and things, and you had like tiny bits of gore, but overall, I think it makes it a whole better show. It's just a shame that Doctor Who, you can't go that bit further with it, because it definitely pays off with episodes like this.
Yeah, it definitely does. It just allows you to get invested in it, and I think that's one of the things that's really pulled me into class. So, in regards to the Alien, what I'm going to ask you, so far we've had 3 episodes. How would you rate this Alien against the others? I would say this is probably my favourite of the lot.
See, I really like the shadow. It's kind of strange because, like, the alien look itself, I wouldn't rate that much, but kind of like if I rated the episode, I'd probably say it's quite possibly, I'd either put it number 1 or number 2. I definitely think it's one of the strongest.
Yeah, so in terms of rating the episode as opposed to the monster, would you say episode 3, Night Visiting, favourite so far?
It's definitely one of the top. It was done so well. There wasn't many negative points that I could pick out. The only slight thing that bugged me was how kind of like fast Ram got over his girlfriend and he's getting on with April. That was the only slight thing I was a bit like, oh, they could have waited a bit longer. But on the whole, I thought it was a really great episode, and just seeing like how different people manage through their grief and things, and I'm really invested in it now. I think I was slightly invested anyway, but by the end of the episode, I'm really loving it. It's definitely one of my new favourite shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you brought up a good point there, actually, about Ram and moving on from his girlfriend so quickly. Maybe this is his way of dealing with that grief. Do you think that could be the case? Is April just a rebound?
I definitely think that's part to play in it, but I just kind of wish it would have been a bit more drawn out and not like a throwaway kiss moment, because I will say it kind of was romantic, but then you think straight away, hold on, he's only just lost his girlfriend. But then again, at the same time, this is kind of like the world we live in now, and like the younger people, they move on so quickly that it's kind of normal, even if she did die.
Yeah. Well, it kind of is, I guess, in the way that the world is changing, and it's completely changed for all of these characters. What do you kind of make in terms of this relationship? Are you happy seeing the two of them together? Because we said last time out that we could see Tanya and Ram getting together, because it seemed as though they're having that connection there, that friendship, which could then maybe turn into something else. Did you expect to see this? Because it kind of took me by a big surprise when I seen these two get together.
I could kind of see it coming, but I don't think the connection's there as much as it is with Tanya. I don't know if we're going to see some sort of like jealousy thing as it plays out, because you can definitely see there's a huge connection between Ram and Tanya. So I'd be interested to see how that's going to play out, but I'm not really sold on them as like a couple or anything. So I think I'd need to see where it goes first, but it kind of feels like it wouldn't go very far if they do get together. It feels very much like you say, a rebound.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling that I get. I feel these two have kind of come together without really having anything there. Whereas I think Ram and Tanya are more naturally sort of, that they have that between them. So I think there's something to build on there. I see this as being more of a, I probably wouldn't use the word rebound, but it kind of does sort of fit in, I guess. Because April's feeling a bit down, things going on with her dad. Ram just lost his girlfriend. Maybe it is classic rebound syndrome.
Oh, you never know. Maybe because like the Shadowkin's kind of like got this connection. Maybe it's the Shadowkin who likes Ram.
Maybe that could be the case.
I mean, like he did slaughter Ram's girlfriend in front of him, so.
That's a good point. Just get her out the way, move in there, steal him away. Maybe that's the plan of the Shadowkin after all.
Kind of gives like a new term to like blood brothers and things, so, you know.
It does, doesn't it? Brutal. Absolutely brutal. So let's move on to the ending. In the ending, we're seeing Tanya defeat the monster by tricking her into thinking that she was going to willingly offer her soul and all that grief and all that pain over to the monster itself to pair it then with her father, so that at the end they could then be reunited in heaven or wherever the monster was going to take them back through that void. What did you think of the ending to it? Because we're seeing Tanya weaken the monster in this way by tricking it, and then Miss Quill very Britishly striking it with a big red London bus, and it's spiraling it back in that big crack from which it came.
Well, first of it, I definitely think Miss Quill had like the best moment yet again in the episode with the bus. I thought she was brilliant.
She tends to steal it, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's doing a brilliant job of stealing every single episode, and she wasn't in it that much this week, considering she had quite a few scenes. She didn't seem to play like a huge part.
She did have a sort of lesser role, I guess, this time, because the other episodes have been like quite heavily centered around her in a way, and the connection with her and Charlie and what was going on there. I think this is kind of the first time where they've stepped back from that, and I think because they've done that, it's really shown that Tanya and the other members can actually shine.
Yeah. But as for Tanya, I really enjoyed like her whole stages of grief and things like you say. Like at the very start, it's kind of going through the shock and disbelief that if a dad is dead, and it was kind of like his memorial and thing. And then you go to the anger, and it's almost like she accepts he's gone by the end. And it reminded me like a lot of the Rings of Arcatan, like when Clara has the leaf and I know it didn't go on about memories and things, but kind of like her holding on to the pain of losing a dad, that was what, and all those memories, that's what kind of fought the monster off. And I thought it was really, really, it was kind of beautiful in a sense, because like her showing that love she had for her dad and things, and basically love overpowering, all as cheesy as it sounds.
You bring in the cheese. It makes sense though, doesn't it? Because I think that was kind of the tone that you got from the end of it. Yes, she did love her dad. Yes, she missed him. But at the end of the day, she'd come to terms with the loss, and she realised this wasn't her dad. This was some kind of monster trying to take that grief from her and feed off it, which was the wrong thing to do. It could have been easy for another person to hand over all that grief and take it off the shoulders, but I think it showed that, you know, Tanya is a really strong woman, and I think that's the kind of role that she's going to have in the series, the kind of strong backbone of the team.
Yeah, she definitely comes across that, and she's a lot more rational, I'd say, than the other ones, and kind of like the brain box at the same time.
She is. She's got a good head on her shoulders. So I guess that was our initial thoughts on the third episode of Class. But what did you at home make of it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and tweet us at Tardis_Talk with your favourite moments, as we'll leave you with our quote of the week. Until next time.
Bye.
Get a very big knife. No, wait.